So, a couple of days ago, I did a video all about, well, about how some of the victims' families of Sandy Hook have appealed to President Trump to basically help them stop conspiracy theorists. Now, I haven't covered or been involved watching the conspiracy side of things for quite a number of years, because when I first started this channel, I originally started going after people like Jones and Watson for spouting their stupid conspiracy nonsense and pointing out the fact that, you know, their sources are non-existent or not even trustworthy, or blatantly just making stuff up or just jumping to conclusions at nothing. And you have now, I've sort of re-looked at sort of what's been going on in, like, the Sandy Hook. I mean, someone posted a link to the Reddit community for the Sandy Hook's hoax, and oh my god, just the amount of stuff that these guys have done to harass people who have lost children, to a point where there was one family who moved from the area to a completely different state, but they still decided to harass this family because they are crisis actors. And, you know, in an attempt to make them confess to their, sins of being involved in this. And it is just absolutely insane to the level of what these people have done. I mean, there's a group called Sandy Hook Justice Group, and one of their members was convicted of criminal harassment. He's in jail. And the group, instead of going, okay, maybe we should back off, the group instead decided that, okay, what we need to do is keep on doing this. So you can see the level of absolute bile and vitriol, and the fact that some people, even in the conspiracy movement, support these actions is absolutely ridiculous. To support that, I genuinely just can't believe they would support doing this. It's unbelievable. And let alone the fact that, it's a conspiracy theory, it has no basis in reality, despite what these people like to think. All this stuff has been thoroughly debunked, and there are people out there, there's the Sandy Hook Truth channel, which debunks and goes after a lot of these conspiracy theorists, exposing them for what they are, and good job to those people. Now, I'm not going to go back into the realm of debunking conspiracy theorists, because I'll tell you now, it's pointless. A lot of these people, as I described them in the past, are cocooned in a web. And the problem is if they accept that one conspiracy isn't true, then it pulls another thread of a different conspiracy theory, and then it's impossible for them to escape, because they have to believe this in this conspiracy theory, or else this conspiracy theory doesn't make sense, because this other conspiracy doesn't make sense, or else this conspiracy doesn't link to this one, and it's ridiculous when you really get into it. I mean, I've said in the past, if you look at, the mental state, and I'm not saying these guys are crazy or anything like that, but the fact that there is a lot of jumping to conclusions, looking at coincidences, and somehow seeing links that aren't there, is absolutely it's well documented. There are psychologists who have looked at conspiracy theorists. If you're interested in going to look at that, then by all means go and look at them. But I will tell you now, a lot of these people have really overstepped the bounds, you know, to doing this. It's, you know, it's unbelievable, it's sick, and it's just really, really such a low thing to do. I mean, let alone think that it's a, you know, a conspiracy theory. I mean, it just goes beyond words. It really does. And, you know, I have absolute sympathy for these families. Not only just, you know, in the fact that some of them lost, you know, young children, but the fact that today a lot of them are receiving, you know, death threats and other similar, you know, threats of violence against them. It makes you worry of what would happen. So I've said it in the past that the logical end of these, you know, conspiracy theorists is attack the government before they can get meat, and it has happened in the past. Look at what happened to Pizzagate, where a guy was so convinced that this pizzeria was the hub of a child sex ring, he basically went in there with a gun to raid the place. You know, what happens then to the safety of some of these families? You know, conspiracy theorist goes, well, I think these people are crisis actors, I think these people are lying, so I'm going to go to their house with a gun and force them to confess. Yeah, that is the end point for a lot of these harassers. And it must be terrifying for their families. And you've had one guy who's been convicted of criminal harassment. Well, what if the next guy who gets, you know, actually gets to a point where he is physically harassing people? That's the unfortunate, scary step, next logical scary step for these conspiracy theorists. So, yeah, if you believe that Sandy Hook was a hoax, you're an idiot. You really are. And if you've taken the next step and you've actually contacted one of these families to harass them, then you are scum. I'm sorry, but you are. Who sinks to that level? Oh, that's right, conspiracy theorists do.